All right, we have got 7 o'clock on the nose. Good morning, each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us again here for another vendor training session for the Army CA team. Again, if you are just joining us and didn't hear the previous message, this is being recorded. That way we can be able to send you the link and you can share it with your colleagues, or if you need a reference point to refer back to, you'll have it available for that. So thank each and every one of you for joining us this morning. And of course, happy Friday to all of you. We're going to go over a few topics here today with you. First, we're going to start out with our program manager, Mrs. Sweeney. She's got some updates and some information that she needs to pass on to you regarding our policy changes, MOA changes, new requirements, etc. And then we're going to go over the certificate of completion template that we created for you to help you out if you need it. Also, what the itemized price quote should look like. The 90-day shuffle, we'll get that with you in just a moment. FAQs that we received, and we'll go over a recap with you. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Sophia Sweeney.
Thanks, Russell. And good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining in. Let's see. Let me go ahead and can you get to the next slide, please? Thank you. So just a few things we need to chat about. Custom CA requests. Well, I see there's a lot of people still coming in. Uh-oh. Please put your computer on mute. All right. Let's see. Well, I guess I'll start with introductions. That way, everyone that's coming in can hear the rest of this. But just real quick, you did hear from Russell Gray. Him and Wendy Sanders are the onboarding team, and they do an outstanding job of getting all vendors added into the Army Ignited system, as well as getting the approvals and MOAs. So really appreciate all their hard work. And then we've got the processing team, or the vetting team, which is Dottie Heffelfinger. And many of you already know who she is because she also does vendor onboarding as well. And she also processes cases. We also have Kristen Clark, who is part of the processing team. The processors will get all of these CA requests from the soldiers and process them, then move them to finance. I also see my boss is on here. Steve Clare is on is also in attendance. He is our boss. And then Chris Fowler is another processor. And I know some of you have talked to him before, but he is currently on vacation, so he was unable to attend. We also have the finance team. These are the ones that are calling you to make those payments. So we've got Rich Cadwell, who's the supervisor, and then Tisha Gentry, who is one of the, she also makes payments as well. LaDonna Hazelwood and Emily Pitts. And, you know, that's it's a small number of people for the finance team, but they are going to grow here shortly, we hope. So I know that there's a lot of, questions on when you're going to receive your payments. Just know that there are only 3 people that are making payments right now, and so they're trying to get to them as quickly as possible. So that pretty much is the team. So now that we have some more people in here, let's go over some of the items. The custom CA requests. Soldiers can create custom requests, okay? But those quotes that you provide them have to match. And I'm going to use the aviation credentials as an example because this is one of our biggest, because of the policy reduction. There's a policy reduction policy that went out regarding pilot type credentials. We have a whole list of those credentials, and you can always download all of that information from Army Cool. But the policy reduction addresses active duty soldiers, that are trying to pursue these. Well, anyways, I know many of you have listed the full phase for $4,000. Now, just remember that National Guard and Reserves can request all $4,000, but active duty personnel or those National Guard and Reservists that are on Title 10 or Title 32 orders, they can only request $1,000. So how does that affect them when requesting or submitting CA requests? Well, if they select the items that you have listed in Army Ignited at the full $4,000 per phase, what happens is when it comes to our processing team or our vetting team, when they get it, they're going to send them a message and say, we can only fund $1,000. The remaining $3,000 must come out of pocket from you, and you must confirm that you're willing to make those payments. And when they do that, that is, once they let us know that they're good to go and they'll pay the additional $3,000, that will go, that's between you and them, okay? That's no longer between us. We are going to expect a certificate of completion for the full $4,000 training phase, right? The other thing that can happen is you can either add like a phase 1 alpha, phase 1 bravo to address just the $1,000 if you'd like. If you do not want to do that, you don't have to, but it is easier for the soldier to do that, to select from. Or you provide them a quote for $1,000. And if you do that, the soldier must go into Army Ignited and submit a custom request, a CA request that is custom, which means they can actually submit a request that is specific to that $1,000 quote. Okay, they don't have to select the $4,000 one. They can submit custom quotes or custom CA requests as long as you provide them those quotes for $1,000. If you do provide them a quote for phase, maybe a phase 1, again, those if it has to match, right? So some people have been sending them or providing soldiers the $1,000 quote. We're going to reject those, right? They have to match what is in Army Ignited. So I'm going to pause there real quick to see if anyone has any questions about those custom requests or custom quotes. If you do, please just go ahead and either come online or raise your hand. Now, I did use the aviation credential as an example, but this can apply to anyone who, wants to request something custom. Maybe you have a full package in Army Ignited, but the soldier doesn't have to just go off of that. They can request something that's custom or something that's not listed in there. Any questions? Okay. All right. So the next thing is the withdrawal process. Soldiers have to go into their Army Ignited account, into their.
Sophia,
Yep.
there is a question. It says, what if they're giving a soldier a discount?
If you're giving them a discount, that let's just say I'm just going to use, PMP as an example, right? Your cost in Army Ignited is $2,000 for that PMP training, right? If you wanted to give a soldier a discount, what you'll do is you'll put the full, $2,000. So if in Army Ignited you have PMP training, $2,000, book free, materials free, right? Zero cost. On that quote, you're going to put PMP training, $2,000, book zero, materials zero, and then you're going to add at the bottom soldier discount $1,000, right? We have to see that it matches the Army Ignited, what's in Army Ignited. But if you want to give a discount, just add it at the very bottom so we know this is an actual discount. So when our processors see these, they're going to know that you're giving them a discount, and they will process and let the finance team know that, hey, this is not going to be $2,000, it's only going to be $1,000. Does that make sense, Alex? Okay, perfect. All right, so going back to the withdrawal process, SODRs must withdraw in their account. Again, I know they will call you and they'll say, hey, I can't attend this class. I need to go ahead and cancel. Per policy, they are not to discuss that with the vendor. Now, they could let you know that, hey, I'm going to withdraw or I'm going to need an extension. They should tell you those kind of things, but they have to, per policy, withdraw in the Army Ignited system. They go right back into their CA request and they can request a withdrawal. If there's a valid reason, they will provide a withdrawal memo stating why they need to withdraw. And then when they submit that, when I receive it, if it is a valid withdrawal, I will reach out to you and say, hey, this person had to withdraw for valid reasons, right? Please refund the unused amount for that SODR. Again, I'm going to look at everything. What's the time frame? What's the situation and so forth before even requesting a refund from you. Okay, but please, if they tell you they're going to withdraw, advise them to go back into their account to submit that withdrawal. Okay. There's two options in the withdrawal, just so you know, right? In the withdrawal process, there's either a military withdrawal or a personal withdrawal. If they select personal withdrawal, they automatically get recouped, right? It just automatically goes to finance for recoupment. That means they're going to pay it back the entire amount. If they select the military withdrawal, which is the one we want them to select, if it is a valid reason, they can, if they do that in there, they'll be able to submit that withdrawal memo and provide their reasoning why. Okay. So I hope that made sense. At any time, if you have questions, please either raise your hand or put it in the chat. And what you never want to do is send a refund back to our team, to the finance team, unless it's requested. Okay. They have a process in which they have to go by, right? And so they can't, you sending refunds, then they don't know who it's for and so forth. That causes a big headache. So that is why you do not send any refunds until we request it. Okay. And funds are never ever to be returned to soldiers. That would be a MOA violation. Okay. And if you're not familiar with the MOA, need you to go back to your MOA, your approved MOA, and reread the what it entails, because some people have been violating that MOA. And when we find out that you violate, you will receive those warnings, okay, before we remove you from the CA program. Okay, training and exam must be included with books or materials. Books and materials cannot be entered alone in Army Ignited. So if you have something in the system right now that is just a book or material, there has to be something else with it, whether it be a practice exam or a training or the exam itself, but it cannot be entered alone. And the reason we have to do that is we have to capture completion. You can't capture completion from a book or material, right? So it has to be included with something, whether it be a training or exam or a practice exam, okay? So we ask that if you know that you've entered something in the system like that, please go back through, let us know that you need to make some adjustments in the system and make those adjustments. SODRs only have 1 calendar year, and this is per policy, from their start date. So whatever their selected start date is, they have 1 calendar year to complete it. That doesn't mean that they get the full year, right? The SODRs request specific dates. It is their responsibility to select a start and an end date. All right. If they selected an earlier date, so let's just say, Private Snuff be asked for this PMP course, and they said, I want to take this PMP course from August 24th through, September 24th, right? They choose that. No one can select those start and end dates for that soldier. Only they can select it. Or they're the only ones that can add them. All right. So they can, if they wanted an extension, they would have to submit a snow ticket to request an extension, which is totally fine. We can extend, but as long as they're eligible, right? So if they're not eligible to extend, we will let them know, nope, can't happen. And they would have to complete that training within that time frame.
Hey, Sophia.
Yep. I see a question. If someone withdraws, say in 2021, and retakes a course in 2022, which requires new course materials, the 2022 version, is it possible to allow the person to retake the course if you approve, but purchase new materials so they have the same materials as the other students? Otherwise, they would get another set of free materials. Okay, Kevin, so if they withdraw, yep, and they want to retake, so they withdrew from the course after it had already been funded. If it's withdrawn and they submit again for that same course, then yes, we would approve those. And they purchase new, is it possible to allow the person? Sounds like they get, yes, they would get they can get those. They can absolutely request those materials. It's a new request. And if they withdrew, it's like, if they withdrew from something and it was approved, then it's like if they never requested it. Okay. Does that make sense, Kevin? Perfect. All right. Okay. So again, with the 1 calendar year, and again, one thing we don't do is, they can submit their request, but sometimes they fail to talk to the vendor. We don't require them to talk to the vendor, but what we will do is we'll just put in our message to them that, whether they can or can't extend, we can say, yes, we'll grant the extension if they're eligible. Please make sure your vendor knows. Okay, so I know that's been an issue with some of you who said they have not, they don't know that they're extending. So apologize for that. We will let them know in our notes to them when we grant an extension that they need to notify you. And then to address that specific thing, and I don't remember if I have it in my notes or not, but if there is extension fees associated with that extension on your end, those extension fees are to be paid for by the soldier. Okay, that we will not pay extension fees. They will have to come out of pocket to do that. And you are totally in the right if you wanted to add those fees for extensions. Okay, and then Nancy asked, we have several Army accounts. Is it possible on the quote that we provide, we include the correct Army number for the soldier to use? We have several Army accounts. Is it possible the quote that we provide? Hey, Nancy, can you come on the net and ask that question? I don't know if I understand what you're saying. Is it possible in the quote we provide to include the correct Army number for the soldier to use? I guess I'm not understanding what you mean. So if you want to add to that question or come up on the net, you can absolutely ask the question. I'll continue until you either post a new or some explanation on that one. All right, flyers. Make sure you're following the DoD guidance. Everyone was sent the installation guidance, the guidance on, any type of flyers that you use. logos, that kind of thing. Just please, we get notified all the time by various people when you've entered something on your website that is incorrect, or you call the CA program the Army Cool program. I just want to explain. Army Cool is a different program. It's a different site, okay? That is where soldiers find all of their credentials that if they want to pursue something, they go to Army Cool. There's over 1,500 that they can pursue. It is the repository for those credentials. That is not the CA program. The Credentialing Assistance Program is the program in which soldiers request funding for that training or those materials or for the the credential, okay? But the program is the Army Credentialing Assistance Program, not the Army Cool program. So please, if you have that on your website, on your flyers, please remove it. The correct answer is the Army Credentialing Assistance Program. And all of the requests that soldiers make are made through Army Ignited. That's also not the program. Army Ignited is not the program. The Credentialing Assistance Program is the program that soldiers request funding for credentials that are found in Army Cool. We submit those requests through Army Ignited. So Nancy added, soldiers apply online. For us, we need to make sure they use the correct account. I mean, you can add things to your quote if you'd like. The only thing we require is that the quote match what you have listed in Army Ignited. So I hope that answered your question, Nancy. If you want to add more to your quote, feel free. And then, perfect, awesome. Okay, no third-party quotes. We understand that sometimes you contract out and with other companies to provide the training. That's absolutely fine. That's between you and them. But we will not accept any quotes that come from another party. So, for example, let me see. I'll just use CTC. CTC uses, maybe they use Ed2Go or ProTrain, whatever. When a soldier requests a course through CTC, the only people we're going to talk to is CTC. The only quote we want is from CTC, and the only certificate of completion is from CTC, not the third party. Okay, so please do not provide the soldier a third party quote because we're not going to accept it. It will be rejected. Next slide, please. Okay, so I did address the discounts that could be provided. And then I see a question. Soldiers take quote from us one date, but they apply to a different time. Okay, is that allowed? So here's the thing I will offer you, Ryan. What I would recommend is that you put a date valid through this date only. Because when we see that, then we know like, this is not necessarily the quote for this training for this time frame that you're asking, right? We have seen that where a soldier has received a quote like 2 years ago and decided to upload it as the quote. And obviously that was not even valid by no means. So I would recommend that you add on your quote, this is only valid for this time frame. Does that help you, Ryan? Okay, perfect. The other thing I want to add to that specific thing on the quote is that if and I see this on some of the aviation quotes, if something takes, like, let's just say phase 1 of private pilot training, if it takes between 30 to 180 days to complete something, the course that they're asking for, the phase that they're asking for, put it on your quote. Because when they come back, if that soldier comes back with a withdrawal stating, hey, I had no opportunity, but their start and end date is, 1 month, then that's not necessarily a valid withdrawal because the vendor stated it will take you approximately up to 6 months to complete this. You may want to submit your request for the entire 6 months. And then if the training was not provided anytime during that, then that's, then that's not a valid, that would definitely be something that would be valid if you didn't provide them training for that withdrawal. And we will be asking for those refunds back. Okay, Kevin asked, if a student withdraws and re-enters a later course and there is a price change due to higher exam fees, is the expectation to honor the quote for the class the student withdrew from since the exam fees are included? So if a student withdraws and submits a new CA request, again, that quote must match what is listed in Army Ignited. So if you raise the prices in Army Ignited, then that quote should match. If it doesn't match, then it's not going to be honored. So no, we're not going to honor something that's from, a way back when. It's got to match. Does that answer your question, Kevin? Okay, and the last thing is withdraw for military reasons. Yep, even if it was withdrawn for military reason, it doesn't matter. When they submit a new CA request, the quote must match what is listed in Army Ignited. So if they try to submit the old one, it's not going to work if the price had changed. Okay, extensions can only be requested by soldiers, not the vendor nor the counselor. So I've seen where vendors have asked to extend a soldier, and that is not the proper way to do that. The soldier must submit a snow ticket to request the extension. When they do that, we will go through. We have to have proof from the soldier that they're asking for this extension. We don't have it from the soldier. Even if you CC them, it doesn't matter. It must come from the soldier. We have already found that soldiers previously have stated, even though we know they did ask that counselor to do it, they will say, nope, wasn't me, just so they don't get recouped. And there's no way to prove it. So it must come from the soldier. There's no ticket, please. And then installation access. Again, if you're teaching courses, they're off the installation, no issues. If you're trying to do something on the installation, an installation access request must be submitted and approved. If we find that you're teaching something on an installation without permission and approval, you will receive a warning and you will be removed should that happen again. Okay, we will not tolerate the not abiding by the installation access rules. Yes, you're going to tell me there's a question?
Yep.
Thanks, Kristen. All right, I know the payments are made from the finance team to the vendors. Typically, what is the time from when vendor provides the quote until the time finance team reaches out to the vendors for payment? So that's kind of like, it's a time period. Right now, Nancy, what I was putting out in the beginning is that finance has fewer voucher examiners to make payments right now. So they're trying to get things paid for as quickly as possible. But, it can take some time because there's only a few of them. So normally if a soldier submits 30 days prior, it could be all the way up until the day of the training for that finance team member to make the payment. We ask that you remain flexible with that and know that if we have moved something to finance will make the payment. It just might be up until the day of. But I think they're pretty much done with, almost done with all the FY21 or September requests. So the next thing would be FY22. Ryan asked earlier, we were told we would have access to check whether applied soldier is approved for training or not. When is that coming to effect? More light on that we have. Okay, great question, Ryan. That is eventually going to come. We're hoping by next year towards the beginning, latest. And I'm just kind of giving you like a time frame, but it is in the works for you to have your own, for all vendors to have your own queues. And when we process a case and move it to finance, that is when you will be able to see it, okay? You will be able to see who is requesting a course with you. And at that point, you'll be able to say, nope, that guy didn't register, that guy didn't register, this person did, but whatever. But you will have that queue, hopefully within the next, I'll say within the next 6 months. I can't promise exactly, but within the next 6 months is what we think. And then on top of that, you'll also be able to add the certificates of completion in the system, like agreed upon in the MOA. Okay, so that's coming as well. So I ask that you please remain patient. We will get it in there. It's just, it takes a long time. No problem. Okay, installation access. I did talk about that already. I did introduce the CA team and our boss. And then the Army Cool program manager. I'm not sure she's on here today, but just so you know, I am the program manager for Army Cool as well. They are a great team. They're the ones that do all of the credentials, right? They vet all the credentials. They add credentialing agencies. She is the program manager for that. So anytime you're asking questions on Army Cool, you're receiving answers most likely from the program manager of Army Cool. Okay. Let me see. At this time, are there any questions?
I have a question
Sure.
about when you onboarded an application.
Mm-hmm.
We changed some stuff in our system and it got rejected, but it didn't have an explanation as to why it got rejected.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really kind of clueless as to what I can fix to, have it.
I'm going to take this one, Sophia.
Yeah, go ahead.
So whenever there is a rejection in the Army Ignited system, say you submitted something, we review your application and it's rejected. Before we hit reject in the system, we send an email to the person that you have on file as your POC that explains to them what's needing to be corrected. And then we go into the system and we hit the reject in the system. So I'll be more than happy to check for you afterward and send you any communications that we've previously rejected on your account for High Roller Aviation. But we definitely send an email out before we reject it out of the Army Ignited system.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see an email, and I actually opened a case on like the help desk, and they weren't able to give me any kind of, they said what you just said, but I couldn't get past that with them to figure out like how I can get that email. So that would be really helpful. You could send that.
Okay. Great. So Russell will take care of you. Are there any other questions?
I have a question regarding the timing when a service member can join the program. We've been getting some repeated requests for, I am close to retirement. Can I still take advantage of the program? Is there a time limit for that?
So all soldiers who participate in the program must have the time in service to complete it. So they have to be able to complete the course prior to their actual ETS date. Okay, so as long as they can complete it within that date, they can participate. And a lot of people use it for some, well, I'm not gonna say a lot. There are some that use it for transition. This is an actual retention program. But yes, they are absolutely able to use it as long as they can complete the course prior to their ETS date.
And it doesn't automatically trigger, additional time in that MSO doesn't factor here for someone who's retiring?
That's a great question, Diana. Yes, it does for officers and warrant officers only, right? So if an officer or warrant officer want to request training, if they request training, they will incur an additional service obligation. Okay. So yeah, if you know that they're an officer, you might want to let them know they should probably ask about that one because they will incur a service obligation for any type of training. Now, if they request something like an exam or recertification, and they're an officer or warrant officer, they will not incur a service obligation. That is the only instance where an officer or warrant officer will not incur service obligations, is for exams or recertifications.
And am I correct? It's 2 years, or does that vary?
It varies. So for active duty personnel, it's 2 years, but for, I want to say, National Guard and Reserve, it's 4 years. But again, that's in the policy. But normally, if they would just contact their personnel services, they would be able to tell them exactly how many years they will incur.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No problem, Diana. Thank you. That was a great question. And then Michelle asked, are we required to report soldiers that don't finish their program? You're not required to report soldiers that don't finish the program, but it is nice to know that either a soldier has not completed it, because then we can go into their account and see where they're at. If they have not turned in their certificate of completion and the end date has passed, then we can request or send them to recoupment at that point. But the good thing is, when you get your queue, you're able to see all of these soldiers. You will be able to see their start and end dates. And if you notice that they have passed those end dates, well, then we know that those soldiers will be, receiving the email for recoupment. Any other questions before I pass the mic over? Okay. Well, thank you all very much. I really want to let you know that we appreciate all of your patience, all of your dedication to the CA program. You know, you guys do great things for soldiers, so we absolutely appreciate all that you do. Thank you very much. And Russell, back to you.
Thank you very much, Sophia. We will push forward here. And it's a nice little segue, because we were just talking about the certificates of completion just a moment ago. So what we did is we created a standardized form for our vendors to utilize if they need it. If you already have a certificate of completion that you utilize, as long as you're meeting all the requirements that's highlighted here, and I'll go over those in just a moment, you're more than welcome to keep using yours. But if you need one that's standardized and that we're going to be able to utilize to put into that new database once you guys have access to upload on your own, you can utilize this one. So this is the U.S. Army Credentialing Assistance Program Certificate of Completion template that we created for you. It offers standardization across the board for all of our vendors. It's an option for vendors without templates to utilize. And it also ensures all of the Army CA requirements are filled out. So what are those requirements? And we'll go step by step here. 1, making sure that we identify the soldier's name that has completed the training or the exam that you offer. 2, the course name and exam name, what they took, the dates that they took it are part 3, and it ended on which date. So that'll be their date of completion. The vendor name, that's where your name will go to show us that the soldier completed this training with you. And then also important to us, because we'll need this as we close out their process on our end, is you identifying the completed or failed on the course and the date that that was done, your signature block and the date of that. So it'll tell us when they completed it, what they took, if they passed or failed. That way, when we take it and we put it into the Army Ignited system to help the soldier close out their request, we can have everything that we need right there. We put it into the system for the soldier, and it helps get them cleared out of the system. That way they don't have any delays on their process. Are there any questions that are popping up on the certificate of completion? We will be sending this out along with the example of the itemized price quote. We'll send out the whole slide deck that we're using today to everybody at the end of the training, along with the video links. So we will get that out to you after our training today. Are there any questions for us right now before we move forward? Hi, Mary, I see your hand up there.
Russell, yeah, just had a quick question. Sometimes when a student, a soldier in this case, completes a course, he or she would have up to a year to take the certification exam, which in our, language, in our speak, in our training company, would mean they either passed or failed the course. Is that what you're speaking about when you talk about filling in that type of information on the certificate of completion? Because once the soldier, goes back to, what he or she would normally do, we don't generally follow those people to know if they passed the exam.
Absolutely. That is a great question, Mary. And yes, what we're looking for, because most of the time, if you are including your exam as a $0 option within the training bundle, we are looking for the completion of that training. So,
Okay.
because that's what the Army has gone out and they've paid for on behalf of the soldier. So when they complete that training with you, that's when we need the certificate of completion to show us that they have completed what the Army has paid for. As a bonus caveat to the soldier, because they get the exam voucher for free if it's included with the training, that's something they can take. And again, we understand that they have up to a year. We know there's some exams that actually give them up to 2 years to complete it. But we are looking for the completion of the training course or the item that was requested for payment to the Department of the Army.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anyone else have any other questions before we jump forward here?
Yeah, Russell, Nancy asked, is this required to be submitted?
The certificate of completion?
I think Nancy's asking about the one that's on the screen.
Okay, good question. So if you do not already have a certificate of completion, we would definitely recommend using this version. But if you have a version already that you're utilizing and it meets all those highlighted items, then no, you can continue to use the version that you have in-house. But if you want a standardized copy, if you want to use this version of it, you are more than welcome to utilize this one. Like I said, we created this for those vendors who may not have a template readily available to utilize. So if you already have something and it meets all the requirements, by all means, please feel free to continue using that one.
Yep, and that's the last question. But Russell, I am so sorry. I totally forgot about one thing that's extremely important to put out before I take off.
No worries.
I'm so sorry, guys. Hey, real quick, the continuing resolution is a possibility for the beginning of the fiscal year, right? So if those of you that were participating last year, remember there was a, we were not sure if we were going to get money right away, later, so forth. So just want to let you know that if there's any delay in funding, one of the things we have discussed and received approval on is if a vendor would like to, receive like an IOU type of thing to allow the soldier to start on time, knowing that we're going to fund you upon receipt of funds, that is a possibility. Now, you don't have to do that. You can absolutely say, nope, we will not, cannot, it's just, we can't do it. Then at that point, we would have to reject the soldier's request. But if there is a possibility, we are going to allow for that to take place. I'm just putting that out as just letting you know, giving you a heads up. But I will put this out formally in an email to all vendors so that you have the specifics and what will take place. So just want you all to know that that is coming. Thank you. Sorry, Russell, back to you.
No, that was super important. Everybody wants to know about the money. So yeah, thank you for that, Sophia. All right, so we will go on to our next section here. The itemized price quote. And it's another thing that we talked about a little bit this morning. So we want to make sure, again, you're filling out all the key parts. There's 6 key sections on an itemized price quote. And actually the discussions earlier this morning I'm thinking about adding a 7th to that. I'll get to that in just a second. But make sure that your company name and address is on the itemized price quote, the date of the course that the soldier is requesting, the soldier's name, what training is being provided, and itemize everything within that training. So if it's on your application in Army Ignited, it should be reflected here as well, i.e. you're offering a training, you're offering the books, you're offering a online course, you're offering a prep, a pre-exam, or and then you're offering an exam if you offer that. Make sure you highlight each and every one of those things. And then at the bottom, it should have the total cost that also matches what is in Army Ignited. So if your total cost is $2,500 that you've listed in Army Ignited, we expect on the itemized price quote for it to show the total cost at $2,500. Now, the other item that I was considering adding on here that I thought was a great idea when I heard the discussion about it a little bit earlier is adding a line on here about quotes valid until. That is huge. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add that on to this training slide deck, and I'll send it out to everybody afterwards. So you can let our finance team know, hey, this quote that we provided this soldier is good until this date. That way, if they receive one and the date of it's for a year ago and they know this isn't what we should be paying for right now because the cost may have changed, so they'll reject it back to the soldier. So I thought that was a great suggestion when Sophia was talking about that earlier. And I think we're going to go ahead and add that on to this list here, and we'll send it out in the slide deck to everybody afterwards. All right, so the 90-day shuffle. What are we talking about here? So when in January, February
Russ.
of each, oh, go ahead, Kristen.
You have a couple questions in the chat. This one is who's responsible to report the certificate of completion?
All right, good question. So in your MOA, it states that you're responsible to provide the soldier a certificate of completion upon their completion of the training course, the exam, etc. At this time, you will send that directly to the soldier. You can also courtesy copy us on it. We'd appreciate that, but definitely send it directly to the soldier so they can upload it in their profile. As we progress forward, you'll be able to take that certificate of completion once the soldier's done and put it directly into your portal link on the Army Ignited site, and then that'll help close the soldier out a little bit faster. So as a vendor, you are required to provide a certificate of completion. It is actually on page 3 of your application, I believe, page 2 or 3, where it states that you will provide a certificate of completion. That is a requirement to participate in the Army Ignited program. What else you got for me, Kristen? Any other questions right now? Can everybody still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. I was getting worried there for a second. All right, so we'll go ahead and jump into the 90-day shuffle. So in January or February timeframe of each year, you are going to be required to complete your annual review. This is the opportunity for you to go into your application, make sure that your POCs are correct, make sure that your costs are correct. If there's any changes that need to be made, this is that core time each year that we've identified for you to be able to do this. And obviously, we will let you know well ahead of time of the dates and the alphabets and their time frame for completing that update. After that time period, if you say like you work for a university and you have your fiscal year that changes in June and your prices update then, what you would need to do if you're updating your costs, you would send us an email request saying, hey, we at such and such vendor location need to update our cost for these items, and we will send you an email back to say, yep, you're good to go. Go ahead and make your updates on your application. Now, if it's for something that's already in the system, and it's not something new that's being added, you will have to wait 90 days before you can start to provide that on an itemized price quote to soldiers. However, if you are decreasing the price or adding items that weren't previously on your application, so they're brand new items, you do not have to wait that 90 days. So again, if you are decreasing the price or you're adding new items that your organization now offers for training or exam, and you want to put that onto your application, you do not have to wait those 90 days to be able to put those on your itemized price quotes. The 90-day wait is only for if you're increasing your price on an item that's already previously listed. Changes made without approval from Army CA will be disapproved. So as we go in each day and we review applications, if you are making a change to your application, you're updating a price or something, and we see that come across and you have not requested through us to have that opportunity to update your application, we will disapprove it. We will send you an email to let you know why it was disapproved. Any questions there? Awesome.
You do have a question.
I knew you were going to catch me.
I know. 90 days from when the pricing goes into effect, or 90 days from the January or February timeframe?
Great question. 90 days from when the price goes into effect. So you put your request in today. Implementation cannot be for at least 90 days out from when you submitted your request to make the change. Great question. Anything else? Sweet. All right, so we receive a lot of questions from our vendors, and we are glad to get them because that helps us fine tune our processes and get answers back out there to you. What we did is we took the top 15 vendor most frequently asked questions and we put them on here for you, but obviously this is not the end all be all. And if there's ever something that you have a question about, please feel free to submit that to us. But we're going to go over these top 15 with you and kind of give you a little more background on the answers to those. So starting out with number 1, I have a TA account. Why can't I access the TA side? So although all of the accounts are built into the Army Ignited system, i.e. TA, CA, civilian credentials, they all have different section responsibilities. So you would be required to create an account on the credentialing assistance side of the house. If even though you may already have one on the tuition assistance side, you have to create a separate account for CA. After the annual review, number 2, after the annual review, can I add more items or change my costs? Again, we just went over this a little bit. If you are looking to add items, you can send us the requests and we will give you the green light. Go ahead and add those. You do not have to wait the 90 days. If you're changing the costs on something that's already in there, send us a request. We'll send you the go ahead, and you just have to wait 90 days before you can start putting it on your price quotes. Number 3, I was told that CA for aircraft certifications has changed. Is this true? Mrs. Sweeney identified this in the beginning. Yes, for active duty personnel, that has dropped down to $1,000. So make sure that if you're dealing with an active duty personnel, they are aware that they would be responsible for any additional cost to pay out of pocket. If it's Army National Guard or Reserve, they are still eligible for the full $4,000. And I did see a hand go up there from Miss Mary. Did you have a question? Okay, I think we're good there.
Sorry, Russell, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay.
Apologies.
problem. All right, so number 4, how many exam vouchers or credentials can I list within our training bundle? So only one exam voucher or credential can be listed within a training bundle, i.e. let's say you offer the CompTIA suite of credentials, your Security Plus, your Network Plus, items like that. You can list all the trainings together, and my screen just went crazy on me here. Sorry about that. You can list all of the training items together. However, where did it go? Okay, sorry about that. You can list all of the items together for training. However, if you are offering a exam voucher, you can only offer one exam voucher per training bundle. So say you offer a training for CompTIA, Security Plus, Network Plus, all of this together for the training. You can put that together. However, if you're offering an exam voucher, you're only going to be able to add an exam voucher for Security Plus. Any other items that would be within that training would need to be listed ad hoc so the soldiers could select them individually and then add them on to their CA request.
Hey, Russell,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
gonna chime in really quick. There's a note in here asking about the start date being the 18th of October and that it's within the 30 business day window. Just so that everybody knows, yes, it's a glitch in the system right now. However, depending on, they still have to follow policy, so they still have to request it 30 days, 30 business days. So they may or may not get rejected still if it's within that 30 business day window. Nikki, does that answer your question? So if they have requested that 18 October start date, can you hear me before I repeat it again, I guess, so that I can make sure you can hear me? Okay. Yes, it's a glitch in the system for that start date being able to still be requested, even though it's within that 30 business day window. If they have to follow the policy, so if they have requested it, they will still have the chance that they're going to get rejected if we review it and it's within that 30 business day window. So they should still be following policy, even though they are able to select that date.
We're good there on that response. All right. Sweet. Number 5, can soldiers request CA funding before my MOA is approved? So again, this is a part of your agreement to the MOA. Before you will even appear on the site for soldiers, you have to have a signed MOA on file. Here's how this works. We get a lot of questions on this. When are we going to get a signed copy back of our MOA? When you send us a copy of the MOA, we will send that to our leadership for signature, and then we hold on to them. Next thing you'll do is you'll go in and you will submit your application in the system. We get your application, we review it. If it's good to go, we'll approve it, and we will send you an approval email. Within that approval email, you will also have a signed copy from both your end and our end of your MOA. So soldiers will not be able to see anything in the system for you until that application has been approved and your MOA is on file with us. Number 6, we had an employee change on our account. How do we update this? So if you have other members who have access to your application and to be able to make updates on your application, all you need to do is go in and change your POC in the system. However, if you had someone say that was primarily working the vendor account for you and they have left your business and no one else has that capability, the new individual who would be responsible for taking care of that would need to go into the Army Ignited system, go into ServiceNow and request a role. When we get that, we will pair their account to the main account and then send them an email to let them know that they've been paired. And once we do that, then that individual will be able to go in and make changes onto the account. Number 7, I am retired military. Am I okay to go on posts and talk about the training I offer? No. Even though you may have a retired ID card, if you're coming on post and you're talking about what benefits you offer for training or how soldiers could take your course and you could receive payment for this, you need to go through the installation education office before that. You need to get an installation access request submitted and then speak with the education office before ever peddling wares on post about anything you offer. You're more than welcome to go on post and go to the BX and go shopping and all those MWR things that you're capable of. But when it comes to CA or speaking about yourself as a vendor for things that you offer, just like a vendor who has no affiliation with the military, you are required to go through, do an installation access, and then speak to the education officer about when and how you can come on post to be able to do that. Let me see, just had a question pop up. Do any of the posts have or will be having credential fairs for soldiers on post? I know some of the education offices do that at different times of the year, where they offer different universities and items like that to come on post and speak about what they offer. What I would recommend doing is sending a message out to the installation that you're interested in and find out what they have available or what their plans are for the fiscal year as far as for training venues, and see if you might be able to be a part of that as an approved vendor. Oh, and that's another thing. In order to submit an installation access request, you have to be an approved vendor on the Army Ignited site. So if you haven't even come through us yet and gotten approved, it's going to be a big no-no for you there. Number 8, how long does the approval process take? So we go into the system on a daily basis and we update pending applications, and we reviewed ServiceNow tickets that we receive over on a daily basis of vendors requesting roles, requesting items like that. As Mrs. Sweeney identified earlier, it's myself and Miss Sanders that are doing that on a daily basis. Dottie helps us out when maybe one of us is out or when we're just completely slammed. She'll jump in and help us out, but we push them out as quickly as we can. I will tell you, as far as the vendor applications, we go in every day, we look at those, we look at what's pending, we either approve, or if it's disapproved, we send you an email to let you know why it's been disapproved. So we try to stay on top of that on a daily basis. That way there's not much of a lag time for you, the vendor, to be able to get the things you need done. All right. Number 9. Are there local post representatives that can make my process go faster? No. The individuals that Mrs. Sweeney identified to you as the Army CA team, that is the team that deals with everything for vendor relations, for vetting applications, for finance. We are the team that does that. So if a counselor were to tell you, hey, I can make this go a little faster for you, that is not the correct information. Your points of contact are us, and we will be happy to assist you. I just had another question come in there from Kamika. Once we are approved, we don't have to keep applying each fiscal year, right? You're absolutely correct. You do not have to go through and submit for approval each year. However, if you're looking to update your application or you're looking to add new things, remember those still need to be sent through to us. But no, you do not need to be approved each year as a vendor. Matter of fact, we've still got vendors in the system from the pilot program when Army Ignited was Army CA was first being launched. So you do not have to go through and go for approval each year. Christian, did you have something else that I might have missed there?
No, I was just going to tell you you had a question.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
I didn't know if you could see it.
All right. Number 10. do we have to submit a certificate of completion? If so, who do we send it to? We had this one a little bit earlier. Yes, you are required by the MOA to submit a certificate of completion. As of right now, you would send that certificate of completion to the soldier, and it is their responsibility to upload it in their profile. In the very near future, as Mrs. Sweeney identified, you will have a portal to where you can take that certificate of completion and put it against that soldier's profile yourself. So more to come on that hopefully very soon. Number 11, if I am if I am a vendor for the Army CA program, does that mean I am on the other services as well? No. Each service, each one of our sister services has their own individual COOL program, and then the Army has the Army Credentialing Assistance Program. Each one is different. So if you are looking to have a certification added, and say you were to go through the Army COOL site and request that a certification would be added, the same company that vets for the Army CA program vets for all of the services and would review that credential. And if approved, it could be made available on all of the services sites. But that doesn't mean that you are a vendor for each service. You have to go to each individual service that offers vendor costs and payments right now. And right now, that's only the Army, the Air Force, and I think the Coast Guard is dabbling in it just a little bit, but not fully online yet. So your main points of contact right now are going to be the Army and the Air Force that actually pay for training items for their members. Number 12. Oh, sorry, go back to 11. There's the website right there, www.cool.osd.mil. If you go to that website, it will actually bring up all of the services COOL pages for you. So you should be able to click on each individual page there. I would definitely save that website to your bookmarks on your web browser. That way you have quick access to it if you're interested in reaching out to the other services. Number 12. Can I just find a credential that I think relates to the training we offer? No. Before you can align a credential in Army Ignited, it has to be an approved credential on the Army COOL site. So if you're unsure, first thing we would do is go to Army COOL, search for that credential and see if it is an approved credential. If not, like I previously said, select menu, select contact us, and then it gives you an option there to request a credential. So that's what you can do there to have that credential requested to be added on. But again, there's no guarantee that that credential will be added to the site. Just had a couple more questions pop in right here. What is earliest official start date for FY22 requests? I have many soldiers that have submitted requests with 10/18 as start dates. Please advise on how to resubmit. So 10/18 was the earliest date that we had in the system for individuals being able to submit for FY22. But again, if it's not more than 30 days, if it's not 30 days or more out in the system, they're going to have to push a further date out from there. So 10/18 was the date that we originally sent out when we were closing out FY21 back at the end of July, that soldiers could submit for FY22 training. Next question, let me see. Is the Air Force now paying for the training programs, not just the cert exams? Air Force has actually been paying for certifications and licensures in their training since 2016. They started doing that over on the Air Force side. That's when they started making payments and everything. So they've been doing it for a little while now. Next question, my company doesn't have access to the COOL site. Is that an issue on our end, or do we need to request access from your end? So that would be something you would need to talk to your technical team about. You should be able to pull it up there may be a blockage on your web browser that's keeping you from being able to view it. So I would definitely go back and talk to your technical team and see if that might be the issue. But you should be able to pull it up on your phone or on your personal laptops. It's a public site for you to be able to access. I just opened it in Chrome. Yeah, Chrome works great for it. I know that it's not very user friendly in Internet Explorer sometimes, but I know Chrome, Edge, Firefox, I know those usually work pretty well. All right, so back to 12 again. If it's not in the Army Cool page, if it's not there, don't just take a credential that you think might align to what you're offering and put it on the list. It has to align to that credential, because when we review it, we're going to look at that credential. We're going to make sure that what you're offering truly matches to that credential. And if it doesn't, we're going to disapprove it. All right. Number 13, where can soldiers see if we are an approved vendor? So there's two ways that they can see this. One, on the Army Cool page, every month there is a vendor, approved vendor list updated at the beginning of the month. So every, the first of the month, you will see a vendor list pop up there of approved vendors. It'll have all your information. It'll have all the credentials that you offer that have been approved through us, your contact information. They can pull it off that Excel spreadsheet there. Another place they can look for it is when they're going through and they're doing their CA request, they will put in the certification that they're looking to go for, and then it will give them the vendor names of all the vendors that offer that credential, and it gives them kind of an opportunity to shop, if you will, and look at the different vendors and what they offer for that credential that they want to utilize. Number 14, can our company have multiple people with access to our Army Ignited account? You definitely can. I would definitely make sure that if you have constant changeover, you at least have a primary and an alternate that would have access to the system. You should have a primary POC listed in your application, and then you should have a primary and alternate payment POC in your application. I would always keep at least one alternate POC on the back site there. That way, if you have an individual that leaves, you have somebody that can pick up, make changes to the account, and keep you rolling. Question that just came in, is it possible to get a copy of the slides before the next session? Absolutely. I will be sending out all the slides, and they will actually have the expanded slides on it. So there's only, I think, 13, 14 slides in this slide deck, but it will actually show the entire 47 slides to show you how-tos on some of the processes as well. So we will definitely send that out at the end of our training, along with the YouTube link. You're very welcome. All right, and last but definitely not least, number 15. I don't have a cage code. Can you create one for me? No, we do not control the cage code system. That is controlled by sam.gov, sam.gov. You go to their site, you request an account, you request your cage code, your DUNS code, and all that information. And once they reply back to you and provide you with your cage code, then you can submit for your application and fill that information out. All right, so a quick recap on the things that we went over today. We talked about a few policy and procedure updates. A lot is coming down the pipeline, so please be patient with us. We went over the certificate of completion template, free for you to use. Make sure you update your cage codes. That's one thing I didn't have in there. We sent a message out about this. Make sure you're looking at your cage code throughout the year. If you see that you're within 2 to 3 weeks of that cage code expiring, go ahead and get it updated and let us know that it's been updated. That way we won't have to put a block on your account and then contact you and tell you to update your cage code. The cage code is a yearly update requirement. So this is definitely something that you should be looking at when you're doing your annual reviews in January, February. But if you have a cage code that might be expiring before January of next year, please go in, look at it, get it updated, let us know that it's been updated. We talked about the itemized price quote. Make sure you provide all of the required information. Went over a few FAQs. We need your success metrics. So if you, and I just saw Kevin popped a question there, do we send the success metrics to the general email address. Yes, you can send that there to us. If you've got success metrics that you guys are seeing, that you have X amount of soldiers that have come through and pass, or you've related that these individuals have been able to look at these types of jobs based on the training you provided, definitely send that to us. We really need that information and we're greatly appreciative for it. No 90-day wait on lower costs or for updating application. Again, if you are just looking to decrease the cost or you're adding something new, there's no 90-day wait there requirement. But if it's already listed in Army Ignited, then you are required to go in and wait that 90 days. And I believe I have a hand up here from Dottie. Morning, Dottie. How you doing?
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. I just wanted to go back to the cage code real quick. I did notice a couple vendors that I've talked to on their view of their application, it will show an expired cage code or getting ready to expire. But then when I go to SAM.gov and verify, it's up to date. And it's up to date on our view of the application. So I just wanted to keep that in mind if they call and say that, you know, their application is expiring, but the cage code at SAM.gov is up to date. For some reason, that's probably a Deloitte thing that we'll have to let them know, but the vendor's view may not have the same date that we have on our view, which our view is up to date with SAM.gov. Just wanted to let you know that.
Copy that and thanks. And so if you are seeing where your cage code is expiring on your end, but it's good to go on our end, definitely send a snow ticket, a ServiceNow ticket, and make sure you address it to the technical team. That way they can go in and they can personally update that for you on your end. Thanks for that, Dottie. All right. So with the last 15 minutes or so that we have here, we want to open up the floor for you for anyone that may have additional questions to us or need a few different answers or have any suggestions or anything you might want to bring to the table. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is yours. You see, we had a couple questions come in here. Let me see. I understand that there is only 3 finance team members handling payments. Will all approved FY21 Army CA courses be paid no later than 30 September? And when is the last thing? Yeah, go ahead.
I went ahead and answered that one in there. I don't know if any finance people are still in here, but we believe that they're at least close to having them done if they're not really close, but they should be made before the 30th for sure.
Right on. Thank you for that. Let me see. The next question we had. UIW also received a message that was expiring even though it was up to date. So definitely submit that snow ticket to the technical team. Let them know that you're receiving that message. That way they can go into your profile and they can adjust it on their end for you. The cage code expiration seems to have something to do with the age of the cage code. We will definitely, yeah, we'll definitely send something to Deloitte on our end to ask them about that to see if they are aware of that or they have any recommendations we can send out to the field for you on that.
Hey, Russell, this is Mary. I was the one that submitted that statement. I had looked that up when we got a notification to check our cage code. We've had the same cage code for a number of years, and apparently there was a caveat that if your cage code was obtained, let's say, I think it was like 5 years ago, the only time we would have to worry about our cage code would be when our SAM status expires, which in our case is February the 18th of 22. So potentially we'll get a new cage code then, but we may not. That was how I read this statement.
Oh,
it was actually kind of confusing. You had to read it very carefully. It wasn't clearly stated.
And that came to you from sam.gov?
No, I'm trying to think. I'll go look it up again, as if, I never had, as if I hadn't done it in the past. And when I find the information or the explanation, I'll send it to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay. But it was confusing, and I thought, wow, and I had to read this thing 2 or 3 times just to be sure I clearly understood it. And my boss was like, what?
Definitely, yes. And when you find that, please send that over to me, and we will definitely send it to our guys and let them know what you're seeing as a vendor as well. So thank you for that. We appreciate it.
We're in a number of veteran programs like VRAP and VetTech, and we're currently applying for GI Bill. And so the CAGE code has been accepted that we've been using. So, but anyway, I definitely will update you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Got another one here. There are a lot of outside vendors that try to sell their services to update and manage your. Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. And we've seen this here as of recent, where there's outside individuals telling you that if you have them sign up under them or have them added to your account, that they can help your process go faster. That is not correct by any means at all. So if an individual is not physically a part of your business, do not add them to your group listing. I've seen where one individual in particular, their name has showed up quite frequently on new accounts that have come up, and we've addressed this issue. But if you have anyone reaching out to you telling you, hey, you should put us as a spokesman for you for Army Ignited and we'll help your process get done faster and everything else, do not go forward with that. I just don't do it. I wouldn't do it. If you have questions about your CAGE code, go to sam.gov. If you have questions about your CA process, come through us. But don't let a third-party entity tell you that they will be able to get the process done faster for you, because that is not the case. Let me see. Do we know when the date in Ignited will be updated to the 30 business days, just so the soldiers aren't confused when submitting and inevitably getting rejected? I'm sure that's something that's being addressed right now. I know,
Hey,
Sophia.
I answered that one already. It'll be in the next day or two, she said.
That's why you're awesome. Will you be sharing the recording of this session? Absolutely. I will send that out to each and every one of you with a copy of the slide deck and of the certificate of completion. If you want to use that, I will send everything out to everyone at the end of our training today. Let me see. For marketing purposes, is there a specific guide we have to follow for flyers and print advertisement? Yes, there is. I will include that in the email traffic as well, the DoD guidance. I'll send everything back out to you all just in case it may have gotten lost in translation. I know a lot of stuff's been sent out to you, so I will send everything out again in my email that I send out to you this afternoon. Does the 90-day wait for cost increase mean that a soldier cannot submit a request for a program prior to that 90-day period? No. So what that means is they will only be able to submit for the prior cost, but I would go ahead and let them know, because the system is still going to reflect the new cost. I would just let them know that it would probably be in their best interest. That way there's no hiccups or confusion, just to submit for the new cost at that 90-day point. That would probably be the safest measure for them to be able to submit their CA request and get it approved.
Hey, Russell.
Yes, ma'am.
If in that 90-day window for any of them, if a soldier wants to submit a request, so they don't have to wait that 90 days, they can submit a custom request, but they would absolutely have to submit a custom request with that new cost. They wouldn't be
Yes.
able to select the old one in the system, but they can do a custom request and we can still review it.
There we go. Right on. So there's definitely help right there. Have them submit a custom request, and that will help them get their process expedited. Thank you, Kristen. Let me see here. Last thing I have on here, cage codes expire every 5 years based on your last time you updated your entity registration in the System for Award Management SAM tool. If you updated your SAM profile annually, you'll automatically be renewing your cage code information. Your cage code does not have an expiration date if your company, hold on, my page moved. If your company received this cage code before August 26th of 2016. So that's a great bit of information right there. All right, and definitely you're very welcome for this training today. And like I said, I'll be sending out the slides and everything to you. And for you guys at High Roller Aviation, I will send you that rejection notice to let you know what was going on with it. See, are we notified if our account is placed on hold, i.e. if the system you are tracking the cage code has expired, although it is not? So if we put your account in hold status where soldiers can't see it, we will send an email out to you to let you know that it's put on hold status. So yes, definitely we'll let you know before we put it on hold. And if your account has been corrected from a previous hold and you still see that you're locked up, just shoot us an email. We'll definitely review it for you to make sure that you're good to go. You are very welcome. All right. Do we have any last minute alibis or anything that jumped in there? Definitely. You're very welcome. Thank you. All right. So we are going to give you 4 minutes of your time back. That is just enough time to go grab yourselves another cup of coffee or two if you need it, and get the day rolling. And have a wonderful Friday to each and every one of you. Thank you for everything that you do for our soldiers and for being a part of the Army CA team. We hope each and every one of you have a blessed one and have a safe and happy weekend. From Army CA, this is your CA DJ, Russell Gray. Have a great one.
Thank you.